Good morning, my friends. Welcome to another episode of Silly Girls, Silly Thoughts. I'm your host, Mindful Body with Rachel B. It's me. Happy Wednesday. At this time, I should be taking my state exam. Don't get ahead of yourself. As some of you know, I'm a licensed associate marriage and family therapist. What does that mean? I kind of compare it to like a driver's permit. I can work just like how you could drive, but I need an adult in the car. And that adult is my supervisor. So, associate licensed therapists, again, do exactly what therapists do, but we still work under certain supervisees. And we're collecting certain hours. And once we get to a certain point, we submit those hours to the state. At some point, that state approves. It's been a very long year. And then you get this lovely opportunity to take an exam. It's great. So you're listening to Past Me because my podcasts are always pre-recorded because I can't get ahead of myself. That's a very dangerous idea. So Past Me, like anyone before a test, is a little nervous and excited. I try to be mindful about that balance when it comes to emotions. You have to acknowledge the good and the nervous, the negative. I don't want to say good and bad, but you know what I mean. So I'm both excited, butterflies all over my stomach, and both nervous. My stomach is like doing backflips. Like gymnastics at an Olympian event is just feeling a lot of feelings. I've already had my stressed out cry, my anxious cry, my woulda, shoulda, coulda moment, my empower moment. Like, it's just waves of feelings. And I think that's so normal, again, for so many of us. I know we're in May, so a lot of you know that my typical clientele for therapy is teenage demographic, young adults, couples, families, but a lot of my kiddos have just finished. Oh, that's so cute, kiddos. My dad calls everyone kiddos. A lot of my kiddos have just finished their first year of college, and oh my God, they look like they finished a marathon. I'm not gonna lie, and I felt that just kind of pressure. A lot of us are forgetting about those 3 to 4 years where everything went online, and I get it. It was a scramble, but there needs to be, I don't know. I'm very curious to see how this is going to pan out because a lot of us are feeling that pressure of like, oh my gosh, like this is a lot harder than I expected. It's been the narrative for so many of us, not just my college kids, but a lot of my young adults when it comes to finding careers, even myself. I'm just like, when did we learn any of this? Not that I spent too much time online, but I think I spent my spring semester. Yeah, I think I just finished at the cusp of it. I finished my spring semester online and then I kind of just graduated and went into the field-ish. I say that so loosely because it was just a blur. So many of us did so much, so little. Remember it all, don't remember it. It's a lot to experience, and some of us look tired. A lot of us look tired. So when I was thinking back to my woulda, coulda, shouldas, I think the normal feelings that come up, again, for so many of us, I want to normalize those feelings because if we don't talk about it, we can't get through it. So, my normal feelings, my silly thoughts when preparing for my own exam, it was just that anger of why don't I feel more prepared, that slight jealousy too. I don't know if I want to talk about my master's program. I think I'm trying to be mindful of boundaries and privacy and just, again, my own presence online in the professional field, but it was intense. I think there's a lot of us who felt, I don't know, rushed from all perspectives. As students, as teachers, as professors, there was a lot of scrambling. There were a lot of things I don't think a lot of us prepared for. And then again, we went online. So again, things that were so out of our control that impacted so many of us in so many ways. I think there were so many opportunities to bring us together. And then there are moments where I'm like, why did they do that to us in just terms of, I don't know, we got so vulnerable to be in so much competition with one another from my perspective and my experience. And I think there's parts of me that I'm embarrassed of in that program, and there's parts of me that I'm like, I wish I had a different experience. I wish it was just a little bit different. Proud of what I did, proud of the people I met, grateful for the people I met, but I think a lot of us are sharing this experience when it comes to school, when it comes to college, just this scramble, this like trying to make up for lost time, this trying to like make do what you got. And now we're in this like self-teaching stage. That's the vibe lately for me. this. Okay, I'll buy the books, I'll read it over, I contact who I need to contact, I feel support in the way I need to feel supported, I'm watching videos, I'm listening to certain educational podcasts as best I can. It's just leaning more into the passion and my career of being a therapist, like any one of us should have. Like any of us should lean into our interests, lean into our niches, lean into our strengths. So many people are like, how did you know you wanted to be a therapist? People talk to me. People talk to me all the time. Even when I don't want to be talked to, they just talk to me. No hate. But like people at the grocery store will talk to me. People at family parties that aren't my family. It's always at the dessert table. People just tell me their life story and I'm just like, aha. Ooh, first dates. Ooh. Sometimes I joke about it and I tell my boyfriend some of my bad first dates. And I'm just like, yeah, once you tell them your career, they're just like opening up about their family drama and their mommy issues. And you're just like, oh, we just came for coffee, but I'll send you the bill for my time at least. Damn. It happens. I have a friendly face, maybe. I don't know. Give off some personality. I am entertainment. I think that's why you guys are watching. But coming back, I became a therapist for so many reasons. I think, again, like any therapist or anyone who's going into the self service or client based field, it's to help people the way you wish you were helped, um, to understand yourself a little bit better, to understand your environment, to understand your family. Also, why I'm here. Probably why I chose marriage and family therapy. It's what made the most sense to me. There's so many aspects to therapy, and I've met a lot of people between social workers, licensed clinical social workers, LCPs, so many things, MFTs. There's everything. There's so many different aspects, and there's similarities and just small differences. I had one professor make it sound like a hierarchy, and that just made me uncomfortable. I don't like that. We're all in this field together. We're all in here for different reasons, but we're all here to work together. If you're coming into this field with ego, if you're going into any career with ego, messy. There are some people in certain careers where I'm just like, you're making a big deal out of nothing right now. Humble yourself. And it's not even big name careers. Don't let your ego get the best of you. There are bigger things, okay? I'm here for my clients. I'm not here to be in competition with other clinicians. So as I was saying, that normal feeling of just anger towards these idea of blame, and then I'm looking back at myself like, wait a second, Rachel, hold yourself accountable. Remember your power. Yeah, it sucks. Validation for the feeling. It sucks that you didn't feel as prepared. It sucks that things were a little bit more scrambled. It sucks that things were outside of your control. I get it. Validate that feeling. You could be nice to yourself. But then you have to put your big girl panties on and say, okay, time to start studying, time to put in the time to self-teach. It sucks, but you have to find that motivation. What's your type of motivation? And this is what kind of leads into the title of today. My karma. In a joking way. Karma. What is it? What is the definition of karma? I think that's what kind of leans into today's title. This is my karma. This happens to me a lot. And I think this is what ties back into my feelings of both excited and scared shitless. I'm so anxious. I'm so anxious. But anytime there's an opportunity for change or adjustment in my life, things end up being a shit show. I'm telling you, this is my karma, my repeated pattern. So taking a moment to find the definition of karma, because I made, again, little PowerPoints for myself. We're doing notes free because I think leaning into my authentic self and leaning into the humor of me. So the definition of karma: the sum of a person's actions in this and previous states of existence, viewed as deciding their fate in future existences. Destiny or fate following as effect from cause. So when I'm thinking about my own karma, this experience of being self-taught happened so frequently for me, and this experience of everything ending up being a shit show, it just stresses me out. I've been leaning into this reflective idea lately of, what do I do to maintain that type of chaos? How am I maintaining this state of just stress anxiety, overwhelmed. What am I doing in my environment to keep it calm? How am I leaning into spaces where I am firm about my boundaries? Because like most of us, we have very loving family and friends who are looking out for us and supporting us and trying to share some motivational words, but it can be very distracting or overwhelming. And I acknowledge a side of me that had a negative experience in school because of studying. There was a lot of pressure. I think so many of us that are first gen or come from first gen parents, there's still this emphasis of do well in school, be the best you can be, be grateful that you're here, this guilt idea that happens. This, I love traditional guilt. My little struggle was, so yes, I have this weird karma. And sometimes I laugh at myself. Sometimes I'm angry. I'm just like, what the hell, Richard? I don't want to heavy curse online too much. But if you know the sound, you know the sound. What the hell, Richard? There's just some moments where I'm just like, I'm prepared for any stupidity that's going to happen because stupidity happens. I don't know what it is. The universe, God, a higher power, whatever you believe in, because I think there's something out there. Because silly things just keep happening to me. I'll think back to Brookdale. I almost didn't graduate Brookdale because the class didn't go through. And I was like, what do you mean? They're like, you need to take this course again. I'm just like, last minute, bitch. Why is it always last minute? It's like a beat the clock. And I don't like this type of pressure. My heart hurts. Hi. Ramapo, I needed to get a signature, but the professor I needed to sign my paperwork in order to pass for my graduation or whatever it was, like confirm for my graduation. She just wasn't aware. She was just not around. She was always MIA. Her office hours never existed. I was like, where is this woman? Getting referral letters from my master's program, also a headache. I'm just like, what the hell? Throwback to Ramapo days. If you knew me, you knew my hair was purple, and everyone's like, oh my god, she was probably so crazy and going through something. No, bitch, I was trying to be remembered. I'm an average person. I think a lot of people mistake this. Like, I may come off exciting, and there's some aspects where I could be exciting. But, like, low key, when it comes to schoolwork and academics, I'm an average person. I'm a nervous person when it comes to tests now and again. I have anxiety with studying, that normal pressure. Oh, my mom was very strict about like getting her schoolwork done, and she had very high expectations. So when it came to studying, everyone's like, "What do you need to do? How can I help you? What do you need help with?" No, leave me alone, please. I just need to peacefully sit down, and we'll get into this, like setting up your environment, but it's like I need to peacefully sit down and just do it myself. I can't have other beings around me because I just feel this sense of anxiety. I'm just like, oh, you're right there and you're expecting something of me and I need to do the best I can because if I get it wrong, then I'm just going to feel overwhelmed. And again, we all feel like this. We're all feeling pressured. We're all in this stage of I have to start teaching myself because I don't know, a lot of us didn't get what we needed out of our school experience again because of lockdown, effort, resources, accountability, our own effort, our own motivation, our own experiences. A lot happened. A lot happened. I could see so many parts where I was so overwhelmed. I could see so many parts where my internship was scrambling to get things together themselves that they couldn't take care of me the way I expected, the way I wanted, the way I honestly thought it was going to happen. I don't know. I think that's where a lot of my jealousy comes from in school. And I could be so wrong because you can only see so much and there's so much that happens behind closed doors. So challenging my own expectations, my own assumptions. A lot of us dealt with so much. A lot of us dealt with our own stressors, our own gut instincts, our own type of self-teaching. I remember my final exam for my master's program was even a scramble because I didn't know what to do. They only pressured so much about one certain theory for so long because they only had one certain type of connection to one certain program. And I saw that. I'm just like, does anyone teach anything else? Or am I just talking to the wrong people? Am I supposed to put myself out there more? Or what am I doing wrong? Because I liked the people I met. There were so many great personalities. There were so many things brought to the table. I still love seeing them do so well through social media. Shout out and supporting everyone who went through that program because you're doing good things. But there's a part of me that I'm just like, I think a lot of us were missing out on different aspects, and that's where that self-teaching comes into. Or maybe you got that out of your internship, which again, luck. I tell so many of my young adults when it comes to finding jobs, careers, internships, sometimes it's just right time, right place. What's in your control? Advocate for yourself. What's in your control? You advocate for yourself. You make things happen. You show up. You make your resume. You call. You put yourself out there. You make a name for yourself. You introduce yourself to people. Networking is everything. I worked at a gym. You think I didn't take like full advantage of that opportunity? Anyone who came in, hey, what do you do? What do you do for a living? Who do you know? There are so many interesting people that will come together in community spaces. Everyone's playing pickleball this summer. You're telling me you're not talking to the person you're playing pickleball against? Who do they know? How can you get your foot into the door? Who can you meet? I've met some interesting people, again, through such weird relationships, even just my first high school job. My old boss is still looking out for my sister and I. She knows so many people. She makes so many connections. She's like, hey, I know this one, that one, this one. Family, friends, this one, that one, this one. People know people. And people get into silly things when you know people. Put yourself out there. So here I was in Ramapo. I was just a nervous person. I was a shy person. I wasn't ready to put myself out there. But I thought if people needed to remember me, I was going to dye my whole head purple. Now I have cute purple girl bangs because we're going through something, as per usual, called life. And I'm coping with my silly coping skills. But in all seriousness, I found a way to put myself out there. I rocked my hair color for so long. I loved the look for so long. It was so expensive and such an upkeep and so many. Ugh. Thankfully, I never destroyed a bathroom or I never destroyed a towel. But that purple hair dye, dangerous. Dangerous in a white tub with a Spanish mother. I will tell you that. If you know, you know. Should we put a trigger warning on this podcast? I don't know. So my karma is this experience of, I'm okay. I'm starting something new and I'm so excited. I'm in the middle of something and it's a little stressed out, but I'm excited for the ending and I'm looking forward to the next chapter. And then when the ending comes, it's this rush of, wait, what were you expecting? Wait, what was going on? Wait, how many more? You're not helping me. Oh, okay. All right. Oh, and you just don't want to do this anymore? Okay, cool. All right. So, I guess I'm doing it. Or I feel stuck with it. And you can take that in so many aspects. And again, I'm not pointing fingers and I'm not pointing blame. I think I can spread that to so many experiences, whether it's school, with careers, with even experiences in my own relationships, romantic, family, friendships. There's this like excitement, this process of like, okay, I'm putting in the work and what do you want to do? And I don't know, this is where I reflect sometimes. Is my karma this in my control? People can't keep up with my speed and I'm moving too quickly and I need to slow down? In my control, am I feeling just stubborn and staying committed to something that's just not serving me to its fulfillment anymore or serving me to its point anymore, expectation anymore? Are there moments where I just let my own stagnation, take that how you will, because everyone gets sad and everyone has those moments. We lose motivation. We get stuck into routine sometimes because it's just like, I don't know. I don't want to say survival state because that sounds very dun dun dun. I want to almost say just your monotonous state. Just this wake up, go to work, come home, go to sleep. Wake up, go to the gym, go to work, come home, go to sleep. Wake up, like, you know what I mean? It's just this, you're doing the same thing and you get stuck in that routine, that cycle sometimes. And this is where I ask, how can we light that fire again? We all have an energy source, whether it's in your belly or under your ass, but like, get the hell up. And this is where that excitement comes in. So again, normalizing that part of anger of just like, I wish, shoulda, coulda, woulda, pointing fingers of blame because it's easier to point fingers than take accountability. Yeah, we're teaching ourselves and growing to be better humans. That's what we're doing here. Reflect on that for yourself too. And then this, all right, well, if I cry about it, nothing's going to happen. Take your moment, cry. I love crying. It's my second favorite thing. But then it's time to pick yourself up. What are you doing to make it happen? How are you going to make it happen? Yeah, it sucks. It sucks that you have to do it all yourself. Sometimes it does feel like you have to do it all yourself. It sucks that you have to teach yourself everything. Sometimes it has to feel like you have to teach yourself everything. A lot of us are having a hard time learning different things. I'm noticing that for so many of us. Maybe we're talking about it more, but just our different styles of learning. How do we remember certain things? I've asked so many of my teens and young adults in school, "Oh yeah, you're studying? What's your study style? What's your way of studying? Do you just read? Do you highlight? Do you rewrite your notes? Do you listen to music? What kind of music do you do?" Going into that topic of setting up your environment. Typically, I've always leaned into lo-fi. My head just goes in so many different places. I'm a distracted person. If I'm not reading something I'm truly interested in, I'm probably not paying attention to the material. I'm passionate about therapy. Give me a therapy book anytime. I cannot wait for summertime. I gotta pick up my beach pass. I cannot wait. I always read a book at the beach. It's just my reading era. Work season kind of decreases. Reading season increases. Season for different hobbies. So I enjoy reading about therapy, and then there's the history behind therapy, which it's just not my strength. I'm getting better with my memory in terms of associating names with certain events and associating material with certain vocabulary. I'm getting better with that over time because you practice it over time, trying to associate what you learn with what you do at work, trying to associate what you do through continuing education courses, trying to continue through, again, your own reading. Take accountability in your career. Take accountability in your education. I love to learn. It's so easy to learn. Everyone's sitting here doom scrolling. I get it. Loaf if you need to loaf. But you can't loaf all the time. You ain't bread. Rise. Rise, my friends. There's so many good informational videos, documentaries. Teach yourself something. Broaden your horizon. Question things. Don't just eat things up. Don't just eat up the information like, "Oh my God, it's so true. I read it online." No, think about it. I watched this documentary. It made me think. I thought about it. I did a little further research. It looks kind of interesting. I'll open it up to people I feel comfortable with. Let's talk about certain topics. And that's how Silly Girl, Silly Thoughts was born. The anxiety is making me feel so silly, but we're here. We're here and we're doing this. Taking a little time today, again, just to break up my own studying. My study style over time has just turned into me finding different ways to shorten the material, to make it short, to make it quick, to make it rememberable, to rewrite it, to retype it, to review, to take a practice test, take more time on the things that I don't feel are my strongest, and feel confident in the things that I know. I keep telling so many of my college kids because I don't know, high school, I get it. There's a little bit more simplicity to it for some of us. Some of us take more priority in our academics. I've been learning so much working with teens about all the different specialty high schools, especially New Jersey. Sometimes I'm like, New Jersey's so small. I know everything in New Jersey, and people are like, "Oh, I go to this specialty school for X, Y, and Z," and I'm just like, "For high school? That's amazing." But also, what the hell? Like, I know vocational school. I went to a public high school. You had your courses, you had your lifestyle courses, you had your sports, you had your gym class, you had your wood shop, you had your computer stuff, and that was the bigger thing in my time because it was just online world, computer, Photoshop. I think that's when the digital world started more and advertising more, influencers started. I say that so loosely, but I graduated 2013. Now there's these schools that are so, I don't know, they're like, I look at them in awe, like, holy crap, there's some amazing people out there. And there's people who have so many great strengths, and we don't normalize it enough. And we need to talk about it more. Normalize your weaknesses. Some of us just don't have a strength. Sometimes it's math, sometimes it's science, sometimes it's history, sometimes it's English. We don't have a strength. People are in such amazement when I talk about my own school experience. They're just like, "Oh my God, Rachel, you're so like intuitive." I say, "Thank you. I've experienced a lot." My silly experience. But I know what my strengths and weaknesses are. Again, I'm normalizing my even anxiety towards my test. It's on a computer. I hate taking tests on computers. And I could have taken initiative to try and find a way to get, I don't know, specialty tests. I can't think of the word. Accommodations. There we go. I could have thought of a way to find accommodations, but I just didn't have the time. Even trying to register for this test was a stress in itself, and trying to get it done in a rush, it's just my karma. Think about it. What's out of your control? What do you prepare for? I was prepared for this type of roller coaster. It's my karma. I'm like, of course, things are going to feel out of my control and things are just not going to work in my favor. And I'm going to cry and take up those spaces where you need to. I love to rant on my little Snapchat. My silly thought. But I prepared for this sense of anxiety towards registering and preparing and studying, and just it feels like time is of the essence, and there's moments where I overwhelm myself, and it brings me right back to just this kid self of pressure and anxiety. And I see that pressure and anxiety in so many of my young adults. So as I was saying, my young adults are so amazed when I tell them about my own college experience, no matter how old they are, because again, I talk to kids that are in middle school all the way to 25, 27-ish, and they're always like, well, how did you figure it out and how did you find your path? I started a community college. Not really by choice, if I had to be honest. And even then, that started as like a disappointment. I was like, oh, so why did I apply to different colleges if I was just going to go to community college kind of vibe? And there was a part of me that was angry because I was just like, I just wasted my time. Like, but looking back at it as an adult, I'm just like, well, my student loans aren't that bad. And honestly, I think it was just more my vibe. I wasn't really a party kid. I really wasn't into doing anything like any normal teenager was doing because I came from a strict household and I have anxiety. So I just worked. And being around other people who were just working people who were going to school for something a little bit more serious, I don't know, I felt better. So I appreciated my Brookdale experience. I finished in 2 years. I took winter courses. I took summer courses. I took courses twice. Normalized taking courses twice. This is not high school, it's college. Things are a little bit more harder. Things are a little bit more demanding. Things are a little bit more challenging. And this is where you can highlight your strengths and your weaknesses. My strengths, I know, come from that psychological side. I love reading. I love sociology. I love learning about people. I love the social science behind it. But I also understand that my weakness is biology. I'm great at chemistry. I suck at biology. Good at math. Overwhelmed by calculus. Can do statistics on a computer. Took statistics twice without a computer program. Shit happens. When I left Brookdale and transferred to Ramapo, there wasn't this real sense of excitement because I was so exhausted from, again, the graduation process of just finding out paperwork, completing courses, transferring everything over. And I think there's a natural part of me that feels sad because I'm just like, oh, I'm disappointing the people around me because my mom tries to like amp up. She wants to be a hype man. I see it. She's just like, aren't you excited? I'm just like, no, I'm exhausted. Like, I worked so hard to get this done. This was so frustrating and exhausting just to chase people down, get things paperwork wise. And I came in a perspective of why aren't people working hard enough and getting this shit done? But hold yourself accountable, Rach. You sound like an asshole. We all need to think about this sometimes. Hey, are we sounding like an asshole? Not everyone thinks like you. My boyfriend likes to play that game where he's just like, not everyone thinks like Rachel. And I'm just like, but if they did, things would get done. He's like, yeah, but you're crazy. And I'm like, I know, I know. I do too much. I move too fast. And a lot of people can't keep up with me. And I'm one of the few. And it doesn't mean I'm better or worse. It just means I'm a different breed. I'm not here to play this game of hierarchy. I'm not here to compare myself. I'm not here to be in competition with you. Acknowledge your own strengths. Acknowledge your own weaknesses. Surround yourself with people that complement your weaknesses and you complement theirs. That's what makes awesome relationships, friendship wise, romantic wise. Try to find in your family best you can. I know we don't choose our family. But hey, they're here. Try your best. We're all doing it. So leaving Brookdale and going into Ramapo, I love that experience. I only stayed for 2 years, but towards the end of it, it really came into question of like, okay, what do I want to prepare for? What's the next step? What do I want to take this bachelor's degree in psychology? Where do I want to go? And it's not that I was confused, and it wasn't that I didn't have opportunities ahead of me. I was working extremely hard with my aunt for her floral business. There was a situation where I was even thinking about taking it over whenever she would retire in the far future. She's working too hard. She's working too hard. But I love that job. I love that hustle. I understood my strength. I was good at planning. I was good at taking control of situations. I was good at leading. I was good at uh, problem solving. I was good at just being resourceful of material. I was good under pressure. But my weakness was just learning how to be a people person. And I've gotten better with it. I've gotten better with it over time. Again, working within the careers that I'm working in now, working in yoga, working in therapy. But my aunt has a different way of connecting with these people. And there's still certain times where she calls me up. She's like, Rachel, there's a situation. What should I say? What should I do? And I'm just like, look, take a step back, reflect with me. And I sent her my invoice later. No, don't do therapy for your family. Don't do it. But giving her advice on how to navigate through certain situations still brings that sense of like, oh my God, this is so exciting. And working in weddings was such an exciting experience. I felt like this little fairy that would just come in, create this beautiful scene, and just disappear. I was always behind the scenes. I didn't need the light to be on me. I just wanted to make someone's day special. I wanted to make everyone's day special. I tried my best. Was every day special? We tried. But got through Ramapo, came towards the end, scrambled to get paperwork done and paperwork signed, and again, hours were just non-existent for some professors, and everyone's doing their own thing, and nobody's going to think like you, Rachel, and nobody's going to move as quick as you, Rachel. Not everyone is like you. Too many of us are expecting other people to be like us. Stop that. Let go of this idea that you need to be with someone who's exactly like you, because I would piss myself off. But I got through Ramapo. I took a year off between my bachelor's and my master's program. I worked with my aunt. I was doing weddings every weekend. I was learning new things. I was learning the business. I was learning behind the scenes. I was learning flowers. She sent me to a flower course at some point in Queens. It was awesome. It was such a great experience, and I learned so much. I experienced so much. Highs and lows in all different types of directions, from events to completing something after a long weekend, the amount of hours we put in. People don't believe the stories I've told. One day we'll share stories, but whew, we gotta be mindful of privacy. We'll just make fun of ourselves, because the amount of accidents I've gotten myself into, the amount of times I've gotten heat stroke, the amount of times I've just been so done, exhausted, and like, are you serious? Like, mode in that job, it's comedy worthy, but I wanted to do something else. I didn't see myself being this person that could engage with people and play this part of, oh my God, I'm so excited for your wedding. It's not coming from a place of negativity. It's just I haven't experienced it myself. I'm not married. I see how me, even as a clinician, I have my own limitations. If I haven't experienced certain things, I don't know how to connect with certain types of demographics, and that's okay. It'll happen when it happens, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. Everyone has someone. Take some mindful moments to understand yourself and what you need, and the people you talk to, and the relationships you make. So I applied to different graduate programs, but it was so limited, and I knew I wanted to be a therapist, but I didn't know what type of therapist per se. I think a lot of people fall down the route of licensed clinical social worker, and there's nothing wrong with that. New Jersey is very supportive of social workers. With that being said, there's also limitations to what New Jersey does for its social workers. I want to highlight the pros and cons, because we're all out here doing our best, and we're all out here trying to be the best, and we're all out here trying to help as much as we can with very little that we have. So, trying our best to support while also holding people accountable. I came across this marriage, family, and therapist graduate program at Kane University, and marriage and family therapy made the best sense to me. I had gone to therapy myself. I had gone to therapy with my mom. As a young adult, people don't normalize going to therapy with your parents during those growing phases of just when you're a young teenager. You're learning that sense of values and morals. You're learning your identity, and that's when things start to become challenging, and they feel even more challenging. I want to highlight some limitations, and I'm sure we could talk about waspy families too. but I'm raised by a Hispanic woman. I pass as white, but I have Hispanic mentality. So when it came to doing therapy as a young adult, I'm sitting here with my American friends, my very white American friends, and their sense of privilege in terms of just, it's so silly, but when you're a teenager, it's important. Their sense of freedom, their sense to go out and have fun and go walk around town and go to clubs and do sports. And I was sitting here like, hey, mom, can I go out? And she's like, no. And I'm like, why? She's like, because you're going to do all these bad things. I'm just like, what the hell are you watching on TV? What are you doing? And again, I normalize the anxiety. I normalize it. I have a slice of compassion for it. I've done my work. I do my work. I work with parents and kids all the time. I work with so many types of cultures and ethnicities and traditional aspects. I've experienced it myself. So when you're this young adult and you're learning these sense of morals and values, and it's even heightened now with this stage of young adults because you're seeing everything online. There's so much pressure and they get so caught up in things that they have no control over. And low key, time and place, you're taking away their spark. I don't know who I want to point that finger at, but like there's a part of me that's so done with the amount of information that's just being like shoved in everyone's faces and we need a break. Everyone's like, why is everyone throwing a tantrum and throwing their fits? Because we have little addicts. Not enough adults are acknowledging their own addiction to their phones and these like short fixes to dopamine. We get a short fix, we all do. It's the doom scrolling, it's the loafing on our phones. There's times and places, but if you're doing it all the time and you don't even notice your own frustration, where's my phone? Where's my video? Where's my distraction? And then you're looking at these young people and they're like, why are you freaking out? Because you took away their little dopamine fix. So when I came from this traditional home and then I'm seeing my American friends and I pass as white, but I can't do what my white friends do, you find your voice, quote unquote. I feel like there's outside law, like good, bad, morals, right, wrong, and then there's family law where it's a dictatorship. If you know, you know. And there's nothing right and there's nothing wrong. I'm not sitting here like, oh my God, look what my parents did. I'm just sitting here like, we've all been through something and we all have different parenting styles. And I all recommend you to watch that Hulu show about parenting styles because everyone has their pros and cons. And I like how the show highlights each person's pros and cons because each person is different. Each person requires something different. Each person needs to go through their own experiences and work on their own ish to fix their own karma. So when I came across this idea of marriage and family therapy, I was like, oh, this makes sense because I had a positive experience going to therapy with my mom and I see the pros to doing family therapy work for so many young adults because you only have so much control of your environment. You know that whole saying about if a flower is not doing well, you don't fix the flower, you fix where it is. You move the location, you change the pot, you change the soil, you change the water. Everyone's always expecting these kids to have so much power in their spaces, but you're expecting. I laugh. I laugh. I was 17. 17. I had to change therapists because my original one retired. And I had this therapist literally convince me or try to like motivate me to just move out. I'm like, are you kidding? My mother is Spanish. She's gonna find me. And looking at it now, there are so many moments where I have to sit with people and I'm just like, I can't even give you a diagnosis. Diagnoses are for white people. You have to be mindful of culture, especially when you're working with culture, because there's different rules. There's different types of hierarchies. There's different types of traditions. There's different types of values. There's different type of just sense of self as an individual sometimes, but majority as a whole. And that feels almost pressured. So when doing marriage and family therapy work, I thought it made the most sense because I came from an experience of a mixed household. I came from an experience of not knowing my identity because I pass as white, but I don't get to do what my white friends do. But I don't look Spanish enough, so I get this sense of, I don't know what I'd pin it. There's moments where I've seen how people have gone through their own negative experiences being the minority. So when I'm just like, oh yeah, my grandmother's from Puerto Rico, they're like, oh, you think you're like us? And I'm like, oh, no, no. And I think it's just my spaces. I didn't realize what kind of town I grew up in until I got older and I had to vote. My God. It's like every day's 4th of July. It makes me want a hot dog real bad. But when I lived in other spaces of New Jersey that were a lot more diverse and I saw more people who had looked like me or had backgrounds similar to me, because a lot of us are mixed. Welcome to the United States. Welcome to New Jersey, New York, where everyone's just dipping their toes in different ponds. And if I had to be honest, biracial babies are the beautiful ones. Look at me, look at my sister, look at my brother. We're gorgeous. We got good skin, we got good eyes, we got good hair. But we have a hard time finding our spaces. And that's a whole episode in itself, but I saw how that was both a pro and con even for myself. I see how it's helped me in my own career, again, as a marriage and family therapist. I can validate those experiences of not feeling like you belong in certain groups, so you have to make your own group, and there's outside law and there's family law, and there's things that don't feel fair, and there's things we tolerate, and there's things that we have to challenge when we get older. It's hard. It's our karma. Call it general milestones. We all have similar experiences. I'm sitting with my own karma of just this exhaustion, this scrambling, this I have to be on top of things. I also have things demanding my time. Things get a little bit more challenging into your adulthood. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not here to lie. I'll tell you the good and the bad. The good, there's a little bit more freedom. The bad, there's a little less time. So you have to be a little bit more firm about your time management. Again, I'm recording this podcast ahead of time. I'm going to edit real quick and then I'm going to go back to studying. I have things to do. If it's late, it's late. It's my own fault. I got to study. I have to prioritize. I have to make my adjustments. That's how we're going to get things done in adulthood. You got this. You can do this. Try your best. So I'm finding my karma of just feeling a little overwhelmed, feeling exhausted, scrambling to get things done, but it's going to get done. It has to get done. If I go stagnant, I'm not going to be very happy. Some of us like repetition, and that's okay. You do you. There's nothing wrong with that. Some people like to live with certain simplicity. I'm there for that. I have simplicity in different aspects of my life, but right now, my career, it's just trying to get myself out there. I'm ready. I'm ready for my chance. I'm ready for my opportunity. I'm ready for my moment. I'm not trying to take away from anybody else's. I'm proud of everybody else's, but I'm impatient. I think that's also a normal feeling that a lot of us have. As I try my best to practice that mindfulness, that living in the present moment, there's a part of me that's just like rolling my eyes. Why did this take so long? Why did it take so many weeks? Why was it so many phone calls? Ugh. Exhaustion. I get it. Hours to study, managing work hours, managing holidays, managing people. I get it. So when you're coming into this adult phase, it's being mindful of the pressure you set and the goals you set and staying accountable to yourself. You have to parent yourself. If you don't want the outside pressure and if you don't want to feel this sense of, what did I feel? Not disappointment in myself, but this feeling of, why can't I can do this? Like, why don't you believe in me that I can do this? Like, why aren't you letting me do this by myself? Like, this is for me and you're pushing it. And I think a lot of us feel that pressure, whether it comes from family, friends, careers, ourselves. That pressure is valid. People want to see us do great things. I know people want to celebrate each other. I get it. I see that perspective. But if you don't speak up and say, hey, I need my space. Hey, I need my silence. Hey, I need my environment to feel calm in order to prepare, to feel ready. Acknowledge your role in maintaining your stress. Acknowledge your role in maintaining your conflict. Acknowledge your role in maintaining your karma. If you're expecting your environment, your job, your family to overstimulate you, prepare for that. You think I told a lot of people what day my test was? No, you guys are just hearing this right now on the podcast. You might hear me talk about it later. If I pass, if I fail, I'll cry. And then I'll get back up and go back to work because that's just what you do. You try again later. Is what it is, my friends. Of course, we all want to pass. But you have to normalize that sometimes we fail. Things are hard. Things are hard and we get caught up in a lot of things. We get caught up in work, we get caught up in hobbies, we get caught up in family, we get caught up in relationships. It's hard to hold ourselves accountable. It's hard to be disciplined with ourselves. It's hard to do the hard stuff. It's so easy to procrastinate. It's so easy to avoid. For so many of us, stop putting this all on young kids just because they're in school. Adults, we have just as much of a hard time with staying focused and staying on task and feeling productive and feeling motivated. Light the fire under your ass. Let's do it. Whatever it takes. What's the silly thought? What's the silly thing that motivates you? What's the silly thing you need to keep going? I set up my environment. I talked to whoever I needed to talk to from a career sense, from a peer sense, and I got the appropriate reading materials. I went on the appropriate material websites. I set up my environment. I got the appropriate music. My mind trails off. My mind trails off if I'm not reading things that I love. I said it before, so what musics am I choosing? I'm choosing binaural beats. I'm choosing lo-fi. If some of you know the Netflix show, it used to be on YouTube. It started there. Bee and Puppy Cat. There's almost this comfy video game, like beat bop in the background, techno, whatever genre you would kind of point that to. But it just set up this calmer space. I sat down with my books. I had my certain lighting. I had my hydration, water, juices, whatever you needed, my snacks. And we got to studying. I'm going to study after this podcast. Because it's in my control, it's in my accountability. It's me trying to maintain my calm through my karma, but me trying my best to adjust my patterns in my karma, leading into how you can change that for yourself. You only have control over yourself. Working in marriage and family therapy, I work with the individual, but we talk about relationships to your community, to your family, to your environment. And I have to constantly say to people that you cannot control the people around you. I tried myself. I'm here because I tried myself. We're in therapy. We become therapists because we're trying to help ourselves. We're trying to help the people around us. We're trying to be the help that we wish we had. I get it. It's also important to learn, like, hey, you can help as many people as you want if they're motivated to help themselves, but that's it. That's all you're doing. You only have control so much as a clinician, too. I again picture myself that same little fairy when I worked with my aunt. I'm not this big role in people's lives. I'm your therapist. You meet me once a week. I talk about silly things with you for like 50 minutes, an hour possibly. I talk with you about silly things for 15 minutes. We do coping skills. We talk about life. We challenge perspectives. We collaborate. And then you go off into the world. You put into practice what we talked about best you can into the world. I do it for myself in my own therapy, in my own self-care. Whatever I'm talking about, I have to put it into the world. How am I changing my patterns? Do I need to change the direction I'm walking in? Do I need to change my communication? Do I need to work on my regulation skills? What am I doing to maintain conflict? What am I doing for conflict resolution? What am I doing to lead towards that favorable outcome? It's not, how can I make people do what I want? It's not that. It's acknowledging that stop sign. It's a really good method I use for couples therapy that a lot of us use, where if you see the situation getting bigger than what it is, are you going to maintain that by adding fuel to the fire? Stay with me on this. I laughed a little bit ago with my own boyfriend because I was joking. I was like, I see it in your face. You're holding back. You know you don't want to fight with me right now. And it's in a joking manner. There's humor in there. And he's like, oh, you see that? I'm like, I do it too. I'm surprised you don't see it in my own face because there's moments you say some sassy things and I'm just like, this bitch. And I want to say something. But I don't have time to fight with this man, so I gotta just quiet myself, pick and choose where I want this to go. Because you got choices. You have choices. You have to move with intention. Stop moving through life blind. Stop doing this whole, I didn't know. I don't know. Oh my God. Stop. Stop. Just take a step back. Take a deep breath. Move with intention. Are you doing this for you? Because you only have control over you. You don't have control over the people around you. You don't have a control over the situation around you. Do not put yourself in business that's not your business. And make your choices best you can. They don't always have to be wise, but they have to be responsible. I allow you to be young and dumb. I say that with love for only so many years. And then like past 23, 27, what are you doing? Time to grow up. Time to start challenging yourself. Time to start putting things into practice. Time to start growing up. And it's not this negative thing. It's just this perspective of like, aren't you tired? I'm tired. I see how I have to make changes. I see how my priorities have changed. I see how I want different things. Just for myself, not in comparison to others. Everyone's allowed to have their own path. Everyone's allowed to have their own choices. But like, it's so normal over time to say, yeah, that was fun then. I don't know if I would do that now for whatever reason. Everyone tells me it's because their back hurts, and I say, ooh, you gotta stretch. Or eat some pickles. That's really good for muscle cramps, my friends. You can prepare for karma that's outside of your control. Like I said, my experience through schooling and my own career have been very like excited to, oh my gosh, we're like, I'm really looking forward to this. Little stressed, little under pressure. And then that last year or semester, I'm just like, what the hell is going on? I'm so confused. I'm overwhelmed. I'm crying. I don't know what I need to know. I'm stressed the hell out. It's spiraling. Everyone goes through it. I felt so bad, but I feel like it's so normal to sit through those end of semesters, finals, moments of just like, oh my God, Rachel, what's going on? I'm just like, you can do this, my friends. It's gonna be, what's that? That little TikTok sound? Hold my hand. Keep holding my hand. Don't let go. I feel horrible, but I'm like, this is a hustle time, you guys. It sucks. It's gonna suck. But it's gonna happen in adulthood too. It's gonna happen in adulthood. These moments happen. They may not feel as intense because you know what to expect. You see the patterns, you see the karma, but they're gonna happen. There's gonna be moments where you're putting in some long hours, you're putting in some crazy time, you're working with people you didn't expect to be working with. It happens. You got this. You can do this. The pattern is there. You know what to do. It's like a video game, for God's sake. When you have to do that level all over again, you know which buttons to press, you know what direction to go in, you know what thing is going to pop out of somewhere. It's like, ah, I knew that was coming. I was waiting for it. Life is a lot simpler than you think. We complicate it. I'm going to say that on repeat for a lot of weeks, but we complicate things a lot more than you think. It doesn't mean you need simplicity in all parts of your life, but when your karma becomes too much, take a step back, take a deep breath. What do we know in the present moment? Have we been here before? Are those feelings coming back? And then how are we coping with those feelings? What do you need to feel comfortable in your negative feeling? How are you staying calm in a stressed out situation? What can you do differently this time around to get a different outcome, to try something new? Take a risk in small ways, in boundaries, but you got to do something. You got to do something. So as I sit here and talk to you pre-test taking, because I'm currently testing at this moment, I am prepared for both outcomes. If I pass or if I fail. Knock on wood, pray to the spirits that are above me, but I want to pass. I'm studying. I'm putting the time in. I'm trying my best to get the information in. I'm trying my best to understand what I'm reading, what I'm connecting to what. Later today, I'm going to practice test taking because it's just like SATs, GREs, ACTs. Excuse me. Some exams just have funny little test questions that are just like, ooh, is it this or that? And there's little tricks to that. And I'm just kind of reflecting back to those testing days. I haven't been in school for like 3-4 years now, I think. What year is it? Time is moving too quickly. It's because I'm working too hard. Damn. But I'm trying to teach myself these old skills that I had to feel a little bit more confident. Nobody normalizes test taking into adulthood. You lose a little confidence because we're just not doing it. You find confidence in repetition because you feel comfortable in repetition, my friends. There's nothing wrong with that. Karma is karma, good or bad, monotonous, exciting, or sad. Haha, silly little rhyme, silly little thought. I sat down with someone this week and we were just chit-chatting back and forth. And I said, some people start goals now, later. I've seen people do it at this age, 30, 40, 50. I've seen people go back to school at 60. What does it matter? And that's such a truth. That's such a truth for so many people. It's not this mentality of, what's everyone else doing? If you don't know, that's okay. We're all still trying to figure it out too. But when you're figuring out your path, you have to listen to what you want. Everyone's doing different things, and that's okay. And you could talk to people at different paths of their life if they want to talk to you. Learn some things, challenge your own biases, challenge your own stigmas, challenge your own stereotypes. It's so necessary. We gotta grow. We're getting older. We need to be wiser. And we need to start taking advantage and taking accountability to what we know. Teach yourself, learn something new, challenge your karma. I studied as much material as I could. I prepared as much as I could. I bounced all over this podcast because my normal anxiety is putting my mind left, right, and the other. So I hope you're sticking with me best you can because I only have so much time to record this. I have to prioritize my studying. Sorry, not sorry. But you know I ramble for too long. I'll give you an hour of my time best I can. People ask, well, how do I change it? What motivates me? That's you. If you're coming here frustrated towards your peers, towards your friends, towards your job, towards your relationships, again and again and again, how many more chances do you want to make yourself frustrated? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I put myself in that situation. These are the things you have to start looking at for yourself. How can I let go? How can I move forward? What no longer serves me? How did we not start the podcast acknowledging that there's a full moon this week? Because I drove home, looked at the sky and said, there's no way there's a full moon happening on Wednesday. Not on my testing day. And I'm like, oh shit, there it is. I didn't plan that, just happened by accident. Same way I planned this podcast when I was like, you know what would be a good day later this Wednesday? It's a full moon. I think I just like doing things towards the end of the month. I'm just like, ooh, new month is coming. What new things do I want to do? What do I have to let go of in order for new things to come my way? New opportunities to come my way. It's not a time of manifestation. If you're doing moon shit, it's not a time of manifestation. Full moon, take up the page. You have to make space, let go. When there's a new moon, nothing in the sky, blank page, opportunity to manifest. So as this full moon comes in this week, we're letting go. I want to let go of this woulda, shoulda, coulda, because you can only spend so much time being angry at your past before you lose sight of your present. And then you're overwhelmed and worried about your future, my friend. Trademark that. Sometimes I say silly things that make silly sense. I can't, dwell on those woulda, shoulda, couldas. Present moment, I'm sitting here recording. I'm going to edit. I'm going to study. I'm going to get shit done. I acknowledge my privilege. But there's definitely moments where I get frustrated where I'm just like, I kept my mouth shut for way too long. And there were moments I should have spoken my truth and spoken up and said like, hey, I deserve this. Like I did everything you wanted. I did it the way you asked. And where is it? Like, don't wait on people. People are doing their own things. People are in their own heads. People have their own goals. If you do not speak up and say what you want, what you need, what you expect, no one hears you. No one's reading your mind. Reality, everyone's in their own head. I've been playing that funny game lately in sessions with people. You think you're anxious? I bet the person you're anxious about is anxious about something else. I've been saying that to everybody. I've been connecting people to their peers, to their family members, because I'm just like, oh, you're sharing the same feeling at the same time? Weird. Weird. We all do it. We all do it. So when we're sharing the same feeling in different perspective, in different ways, because we are obviously different people, different bodies, different people, different perspective, different eyes. But if you're not regulating those feelings, if you're not making an adjustment into your patterns for yourself in your control, you're going to get caught up in the same shit. And low key, I'm tired. I'm tired and I want new things. So we're letting go of negative thoughts. I know what I deserve. I know what I'm capable of. I know what I want. I know how to get there. We're letting go of stagnation. I'm only responsible to a point. What I do more is based on my own effort. It's not because I'm obligated to. It's not because people asked me to. It's because I chose to. And I'm choosing to pull back. I'm letting go of the woulda, coulda, shouldas. Whatever happened, happened. We're staying present. We're moving forward. Things are coming for all of us. Set those goals, short term, long term. Find ways to feel comfortable in your negative feelings because things are going to happen. We get stressed out. Adjustments bring burden and shifts and mess. But I compare adjustment to cleaning out your closet. I would pull everything out of the closet, just drop everything onto my floor. My sister would get so pissed off. Shout out to sharing a room when you're a young adult. I'd throw everything on the floor and it's just chaos. But when you're taking your time to slowly pick up what you want to keep and you're putting what you're donating or throwing out to the side or in bags, you slowly start to see the floor. You're slowly picking up the pieces. You're slowly moving. You're slowly taking that step by step. You're appreciating each present moment. I can't think about step 10 if I'm still at step 1. Why am I overwhelming myself? Why am I missing out and moving irresponsibly and not taking accountability and just being messy? We're moving too fast, and when you're moving too fast, you get hurt. And I can only take so many punches. I'm excited to see what happens after this week. I don't know when I get the results. I don't know if I'll share just right away or not. Your girl is both tired, excited, exhausted, anxious. We're normalizing some silly feelings. We're normalizing some silly changes. We're trying our best to challenge our own karma individually, what's in my control, and outwardly by sharing within my boundaries, within my comfortability. Take control where you need to take control. Adjust your boundaries where you need to adjust your boundaries. Make some changes to change the patterns. It's not easy, but it's worth something at the end. You gotta see the glass half full, half empty. It's called balance. Hell. We all go through some rough stuff to look great in the end. We all have some hard midterms, hard finals. We all go through some weird workout regimens for whatever reason. Patience, consistency, time, priority. You got this. Good luck to all of my friends for their graduation this May, all of my friends preparing for all their finals with high school. Good luck to all my adults for whatever short-term and long goals you guys are setting for your own life. Wish me luck and pray to whatever you pray to. Send a little positive energy my way, my space. I appreciate you. This is another episode of Silly Girls, Silly Thoughts. I'm your host, Mindful Body with Rachel B. Happy Wednesday. Enjoy the rest of the day, and I will talk to you guys next week. Goodbye, my friends.